You get the bigger alloys, so the 20-inch, the fixed glass pan roof, obviously your power tailgate, and your Blueno sound system, stuff like that.
This is amazing. It's very nice.
Really smooth to drive, really smooth, and obviously the sound you can't expect it
Yeah.
to be really quiet anyway.
It's well planted on the road as well.
Yeah. I remember when we first, because obviously when it first came out, we did like a live event in the company to obviously drive them, get a feel for them, and I remember everyone saying like at the event how it doesn't feel like an electric car. It just feels like a Ford. It feels like what our petrol cars.
To be honest, it doesn't feel like you're driving an EV.
Yeah, it was a weird kind of initial feeling when you're driving them. But I guess it's a nice feeling. Well, obviously, it still have some similarities to the Mackie, obviously both being a Ford EV.
Yeah, I think I like this one. I like the interior better than the Mackie. Yeah, because I've watched videos of this swiveling screen which goes up and down.
Yeah, sync move. So this one actually,
Yeah.
depending on the position you want it to sit, you can adjust it. Which obviously is nice because obviously different people have different driving positions. Sometimes if it's upright it doesn't suit, or sometimes if it's flat it doesn't suit, so you can kind of have a nice middle ground depending on how you sit in the car.
To be honest, I like this car.
Yeah.
So what's the range for this?
So on a premium, so this one's a premium extended range rear wheel drive. So the official range, so after all the tests and stuff like that, so it comes out at 356, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, 356.
Yeah, of available range, like a combined range. Obviously, it's same as a petrol car. It can differ, like a petrol car can differ on your MPG. Obviously, style of driving, type of driving, whether that be long distance, motorway driving, or whether that be inner city driving, town driving, kind of thing. Yeah, obviously, the longer there's more research into batteries, obviously it's just going to keep getting longer and longer. Obviously, we're at a point now where it's quite similar, really, to a full tank nowadays. On an ICE vehicle, on a petrol vehicle.
Yeah, I think electric cars are getting better.
Absolutely.
And one of the major concerns in the past was range anxiety,
Exactly, yeah, absolutely.
which is you're driving a long distance. For instance, you're driving from Coventry to London,
Yeah.
and you're wondering what's going to happen on the road. What if I run out of juice on the road and
Absolutely.
you can't find an EV charging station?
Yeah.
But that's no longer a problem anyway.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got obviously the range there, and the infrastructure throughout the country is obviously only going to continue to get better and better. Which is obviously because it's a concern for everyone, really. Because you never want to run out of
Exactly.
whether that be fuel or electric. Well, obviously, it's depending on people's situations. It's probably very rare that you'll do 350 miles in a single trip.
Not at all.
And obviously,
Even if you want to do that, you just have to stop on the road and
exactly, yeah,
maybe stop at a coffee shop.
absolutely.
And the good thing is electric vehicles are getting smarter in the sense that you can really literally charge from 0 to, or more, maybe from 10% to 80%.
Absolutely,
in maybe less than
half an hour, really. And obviously, if you are doing that long journey, it's something that you are going to have to stop anyway, even if you're driving a petrol vehicle, because you're going to need to kind of rest, recharge along the route. So you might as well then also charge your vehicle while you're doing it. Picking up that car coming across then.
And the interior also feels very, very silent.
Yeah.
Where's this woman going?
I've been quite fortunate to obviously have, like, take some of these cars home, and obviously it's one of them.
Did you drive one of this?
So I've got, at the minute, I've got the electric Puma.
Okay.
So that one that's just literally came out about 2-3 weeks ago. But there's been situations, obviously, sometimes if you have to leave one of the cars at work, if you're off the next day or anything like that, we kind of like swap in and swap out of different vehicles.
The Puma, is it all electric or is it hybrid?
All electric.
Oh, really? I've not seen that.
To be fair, it only came out within, like I said, within the last kind of few weeks, really.
Oh, that's fine. How much is that?
So again, so you'll get the Select and the Premium variants. The Select is about 27, 28, if I'm not mistaken. Then the Premium just in and around the 30s, low 30s. But obviously, because it's a smaller car, the range is a lot less.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously you still need, because it's, like I said, because it is a smaller car than the rest of our EV lineup, obviously you can't have too big a battery in there, because then you're offsetting the kind of driving style of it. So I think on a full range on the Puma Gen E, you're about 219, 220, which obviously compared to the Explorer is kind of a big reduction.
Oh, that's a bit smaller than... Okay, but that's not bad anyway, because it depends on your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you only do internal commuting, like within Coventry, you don't need more than that.
No, 100%. And that's why it's kind of an ideal. So when people have obviously currently got Pumas now, so obviously they're used to the size, everything like that, obviously you can then switch over to an EV model and get the savings from your fuels and stuff like that, that obviously you would then save with octopus energy and stuff like that along the way.
I like this car.
They're really lovely to drive, really smooth.
Yeah, I think I prefer this much more than... I prefer it much more than the Mustang.
Yeah, I think, me too. I think the Mustang, obviously, because it's the sportier kind of feel, it does feel a little bit more rigid than the Explorer, than the Capri. There's a lot more smooth, more kind of like, more of a family car, I would say, as opposed to the Mach-E.
So, of all the three, the Capri, the Mach-E, and this one, which one is people's favorite? Like, from the ones you've been selling, which one do you think people prefer?
Probably Explorer, but again, because it can be slightly varied, just because obviously they had different release points. So obviously the newest one being the Capri, obviously only by a couple of months, but you tend to see, obviously you get the initial period where the newest one is the one that's selling the most. But if you probably like average it out, I'd probably say the Explorer, from experience at our dealership, has been kind of like the most common EV. But again, that could then change when we're now starting to sell the electric Puma. So it is kind of hard to kind of pinpoint a particular one. But if I had to say, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I like the Explorer. I think the Explorer probably is the one that we sell the most, that we get the most interest on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a test drive in a Tesla a while ago, the new Tesla Model Y. Although the delivery is not starting until June, which is next month. So from your experience as a dealer, which do you think is better? Because that's one electric vehicle that is also very popular.
100%,
yeah. So
when we did that driving event that I was mentioning earlier, we actually drove a few of the other EVs. So obviously we drove this. We drove a Tesla model, I think it was Y, I'm not too sure. An EV Volkswagen and then a BYD. Out of all them, the Tesla was the quickest, which you would kind of expect. But again, if the Tesla to me feels a lot like how the Mach-E feels to me, like it's a sportier kind of. It might have just been the model that I drove, but it felt like it was a sport car rather than like a family electric car.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense. Whereas Explorer, like I said, it didn't feel like we were driving an electric vehicle. Whereas some of the ones that we drove, you can kind of tell, like the Tesla, it was just because of how quick it was off the mark. Like I said, you kind of know it was electric.
To be honest, I'm not really bothered about how quick the car is,
No,
because
exactly. Yeah.
I'm not on Silverstone racetrack. What I'm really bothered about is the range, which is, I'm not really bothered how fast the car is, because 100%. If your car is super fast, you get a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to cost you more.
Yeah, so for instance, we have speed limits everywhere.
Yeah.
50 miles per hour. So what's the point in having a car that's super fast when
exactly.
you're limited on the road? If I'm driving in Germany, if I'm driving in Autobahn, that's fine. But I'm in the UK.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So currently, is Ford offering any discounts or any promotion
on the Explorer?
Yeah, on the Explorer.
So on the Explorer, so you've got obviously with the finance side of things, as I was mentioning. So you've got the deposit allowance. So obviously that's just money set aside from Ford that, in essence, is a discount. It's just money they're putting towards it. Obviously, like I mentioned as well, you've got the Ford Power Promise, which will then obviously free installation of your wall box. If you switch over to Optimus Energy, obviously you get them charging credits as well. But I think as well with that, if you don't want to take the charging credits, you can swap that to a £500 discount.
Okay.
So obviously you can either get 10,000 miles of like credit with Optimus Energy, or you can swap that out and get £500 as a discount as such, just deducted from the vehicle. So right there, you're probably talking best part of 4 or 5 grand off the bat, really, from the get-go, with like no extra incentive or anything like that. Obviously, you also get the 0%, which again is for the amount that you're lending. Getting that amount of credit on 0% is quite crazy when you kind of put it in perspective, because you're talking nearly £50,000. If you can get £50,000 on a 0% kind of like credit card or something like that, it's a bit crazy.
Yes. Another thing is, I know this car is pretty new.
Yeah.
Do you now offer like a pre-approved used for Explorer? Yeah, for Explorer.
So we've got a few. 9 times out of 10 there would be like ex-demonstrators, as you can imagine, obviously because it's not that old of a model. Obviously the ones that then come to the used market tend to be ones that were used for demonstrators, as opposed to people buying them and then selling them that quickly. But I think currently we're looking at so the used finance for EVs is lower than the petrol vehicles. So the petrol vehicles would be 13.9% APR. On the approved used on any of the electric models, it's 9.9, which obviously a 4% drop in APR is quite a big difference, especially when you look at, again, the amount of credit that you're looking at. It's definitely a big saving just on the credit charge alone. So yeah, so there is obviously that used market.
So the reason I'm asking is, I know new cars depreciate very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially in their very first year.
Yeah.
Sometimes they depreciate 20%, 30%. And the rate at which used cars depreciate is slower than a brand new car. So sometimes it's just encouraging to go for unapproved used cars because the rate of depreciation is lower. So, and also the APR, I know the APR could be higher. Sometimes the APR could be as high as 14%.
Yeah.
So, but driving a new car is still a good option anyway, because you have the full warranty, everything is there, and
it's always kind of like a catch-22. So obviously, if it's a brand new one, like we kind of mentioned, obviously you get the lower APR, but then you get the lower APR, but like you said, the depreciation's quicker.
Yeah, the depreciation is quicker.
When you look at a used one, obviously the APR's higher, but the depreciation is slower. So it's kind of like weighing up the differences to kind of see what makes the most sense for you personally, really.